Hi, I'm Dr. Rudy Cashman. I've been a neurosurgeon in Fort Wayne, Indiana for 41 years. I'm only 39 years old, but tonight we have a very interesting subject here. Frankly, I'm going to try to teach you how to live to be 100 and have a sound mind at that time. So I formed a longevity mind-body index where I list a number of things that I recommend you could do even at a very young age so that you remain perfectly healthy most of your life and live a long life and have a very sound mind at the end. And I have a list of things for you to look through. And also this specific program, we're going to teach you how to do stretching because muscle mass and muscle strength are extremely important in longevity. So to teach you how to stretch properly, I have with me tonight three guests. I have Brian Carpenter, who is a personal trainer at my institute at Lutheran Hospital. Brian is he's certified, very experienced. I personally train with him every week. And I have two other guests with us whom he will demonstrate good stretching techniques. And they are from Erica's Wellness Center, very well-known wellness center in Fort Wayne. We have Sasha Stoffel and Joy Mays. They're massage therapists and exercise therapists. And they did me a favor, came here so that we could demonstrate proper stretching techniques to you. But first, I would like to review the Longevity Mind-Body Index to teach you what would be good health habits. So I'm your coach. I'm going to be your coach. And we all need a coach. And I've done a tremendous amount of reading on the subject. And I tell you honestly, I practice the things which I talk about. I haven't been a physician for 41 years. I learned certainly many things. The basic thing that I learned, 75% of the patients that I see on a regular basis in the office, all they need is a coach. And what are we doing with them? We're giving them prescriptions, doing procedures when we should be teaching them wellness. Matter of fact, the term physician means what? Teacher. So I'm trying to be a teacher. And I frankly have a great pleasure in doing you and speaking to you. I've written a book on wellness, The Secret of Motivation to Wellness, incidentally, if you want to do some more reading about it. What's number one on the list of the Longevity Mind-Body Index? Proper eating. That's number one. What we eat is the most critical thing that we do. And it needs to start at a very young age. I tell you, heart disease begins at what age? 50, 60, 70? No. I tell you this, it starts at age 4. So what we eat as children is very important. We found that 60% of teenagers today have an elevated cholesterol. We have teenagers today that have type 2 diabetes, which is totally related to being overweight. 1/3 of teenagers today are obese. 2/3 of adults are overweight. So to pay attention to what we eat is extremely important. I run eating classes at Lutheran Hospital. We have at least 100 people in them. There's 12 lectures that we give, and we teach their vegetarian, vegan, and nutritarian type way of eating. If you follow that about 80% of the time, I doubt you're going to get strokes. I doubt you're going to get vascular disease. I doubt you're going to get diabetes. The incidence of cancer is way down. The incidence of dementia is way down. We found people who are overweight or obese have a much higher rate of dementia, much higher rate of cancer, much higher rate of strokes, much higher rate of heart attacks. So if you want to live to be 100, you got to eat properly. You have to eat properly. I've written a book called The Secret of the Non-Diet. It'd be interesting for you to read. What am I saying? I don't recommend dieting. I don't diet myself. I eat piles of food, but it's high, dense nutrient foods. I managed somehow at Lutheran Hospital, because I know the dietitian in the doctor's lounge for lunch, 1/3 of that little buffet line that we have is high, dense nutrient foods. We have beans and edamame and tomatoes and onions and mushrooms on here, and I eat a pile of food. Why? Don't I have to watch the amount that I eat? Because it has so much fiber in it that at best 60% of that will ever be metabolized in your body. If you eat pure fat, if you eat the mad, sad, toxic American diet, 90% of that will be sitting on your buttocks or your belly within 4 hours. 4 hours. You can stick a needle in it. I can tell you where it came from, whether it came from lamb or beef or whatever. So a proper way of eating is extremely important, and you need to be informed about it. We Americans lead the world in vascular disease, strokes, cancer, diabetes, and dementia. The world. The rest of the world is eating mainly a plant-type diet, and they don't hardly develop these diseases. In Kenya in 1954, you couldn't find a black person who had a stroke. But they came to this country and ate the mad, sad, toxic American diet, very high rate of strokes and vascular disease in that community and the rest of America. So what you eat is a number one marker on the longevity mind-body index. What's number two? It's exercise. How much exercising you do is extremely important. We all need to exercise at least aerobically, walking, gentle jogging at best. Walking, frankly, would do it. 4 times a week, walk for 30, 60 minutes. It's very good for you. It builds up muscle mass. It helps improve your VO2 max, your oxygen consumption, how your heart works. It's an excellent thing to do, and you need to do it on a regular basis. I do it every week. I do personal training. I play tennis 3 times a week, and you need to do that. The other thing is we found recently from excellent publications I've read in my own experience is the number one biomarker, frankly, muscle mass. Would you believe it? Your muscle mass, how important that is, because it improves your metabolism. You're much more balanced. If you're type 2 diabetic, for example, exercise becomes extremely important. It improves your insulin resistance, your metabolism of insulin and sugar. We have found, this is very interesting, that you can increase your strength at any age, even up to age 100, 2 or 3 times, 100, 200, 300%, if you work out regularly by doing some weightlifting. And they found if you train at 80% of what's called 1RM, that's the maximum you can lift. Suppose it's 20 pounds is the maximum you can do one time. That's the most you can do. If you train at 80% of that, you will improve your muscle strength by 3% a session. It's in the medical literature. The proof is there. It's almost not believable. If you're training at 50% of your maximum 1RM, you'll not improve much. You'll stay about the same. So muscle mass is extremely important. The wonderful news is it works at any age. Today in my office, I instructed 3 patients with a backache who were elderly, wanted me to operate on them. Instead, I sent them to Brian, who's going to put them through a system called Body Recall. Your body recalls what it's like to be healthy and to exercise. And he will increase their muscle mass, and he will also begin the program, of course, by teaching them how to stretch, how to warm up. We speak about that today. And stretching is very important, which is a major subject with us today. The third marker on the longevity mind-body index, frankly, it's a normal body mass index. Body mass index is based on your height and your weight, your BMI. It should be around 24, at least less than 24, 23, at least less than 25. If you're 30 overweight, it's 35, you're obese. It's based on a curve. You can look at my books, you can look on the computer, and you just Google BMI, the graph will show up and see where you're located. If you have a normal BMI, I doubt very much that you have heart disease, vascular disease. I certainly don't think you'll have type 2 diabetes. So a normal BMI is quite important. Belly fat is destructive. They found that belly fat, the fat around the belly, which is in the omentum, it's inside your abdominal cavity. It's not under your skin. It's inside your abdominal cavity, bathing your pancreas and your liver. It has a lot of chemicals in it. Fat makes 20 nasty chemicals that cause cancer, that cause inflammation, that cause arthritis. So to get fat off your body is very important. It becomes much more important as we get a day older. What happens slowly as we get older, because we do less, we exercise less, we sit around more, is that muscle is replaced by fat. We may weigh the same at age 60, but find out that fat percentage, which was around 10 or 15 or 20% at age 25, now it's like 30 or 40%. Women at age 60 on the average have 40% of their body is fat. There's been a change, and it happens a lot after menopause. It's related to inactivity, but also estrogen and hormones. So to pay attention to your body fat is extremely important. What's the number 4 marker on the longevity mind body index? Is education. People who have college education or participate in adult education have a much lower rate of dementia. They live longer. They live longer. Plus, probably they've learned how to eat the right food, maybe read more about it, read more books and papers. So education is important. The next marker is stress reduction. Stress reduction is extremely important. Stress causes secretion of steroids, a hormone in your body. That causes, that stimulates your brain to start overeating. You start overeating, and it affects your mind, and you start gaining weight. Stressful people very commonly are apple or pear shaped. In other words, they've gained a significant amount of weight. So to keep stress under control is very important. On my website, Cashman Mind Body, if you hit the stress icon, I have Rudy's 20 prescriptions for stress reduction. A very good thing to print off and to look out, from breathing techniques to meditation to exercise. 20 good suggestions to reduce stress in your life. If you're a stress eater, odds are that you're eating too much. Food is a drug. Food is a drug. And it secretes dopamine and serotonin, which makes you feel good. If you have lack of serotonin, guess how you'll try to substitute for it? You'll eat, because the breakdown chemicals of the food will secrete serotonin and you feel better. Then you get a license to eat anything you want to. Then you secrete dopamine, and you feel even better. And now you totally lose your conscience. You start eating more and more. Then if you secrete dynorphin, you can have a ravenous appetite. I saw an example on a plane the other day where a gentleman sat down next to me, clearly was overweight, ripped the potato chip thing open with his teeth, ate the whole darn thing in a minute, then ate a second bag. That's dynorphins at work. I've had it myself after a stressful day in surgery, for example, up all night and operating the next day, and I start eating all the wrong food. I couldn't imagine me doing it as much as I know about it. It's that dynorphin at work in me. So food's a chemical, food's a drug. So and stress can cause you to do these things. I think another good thing to do is to sharpen your brain, is to do some brain workouts, some computer work, play computer games. For example, on my website, if you go to the first page, Cashman Mind Body, if you see a gentleman on the left, which is a brain, someone weightlifting with it, hit that icon, the next page. It's all about memory. It's all about memory. I think it's a great page for you to look at. And many great websites. There's enough websites in there for the last 6 months to sharpen your brain. Playing computer games, visual games, increase your reactivity, improve your hearing, improve your vision. Not 8 hours a day, half hour, 60 minutes. So, and playing Sudoku and playing cards, all these right on the website that you can do them for free. It'll sharpen your brain. So doing computer workouts is quite important. Reading books will sharpen your mind. And I write myself. I've written 9 books end of this year. And to write books, to be honest with you, if you want to write, you got to read. I read like anything. I can't believe the amount of reading that I do in spite of my doing full-time neurosurgery, but I frankly love it. So reading, I think, sharpens the mind, expands your horizons, gives you new ideas. You know, if you can't afford to take a trip across the world, get a book. It's like traveling. I think this is a very good thing to do. Develop a purpose in life. That would be a next marker on the longevity mind-body index. I think it's very good to have a purpose in life. I feel extremely lucky because at my young age of 39, and don't you ever believe it, that I feel I have a purpose in life. And what's that? I do full-time neurosurgery. That's my profession. But I tell you what my passion is? It's wellness. It's wellness. I love teaching it and do it on a regular basis through CDs, DVDs, and lectures. It's a purpose. I'm making a lot of people well. So I have a purpose. I hope you're just as lucky that you could develop a purpose in life. I tell you, the easiest purpose in the world, helping people. It's not hard for me to feel good when people walk up to me every day and say, I lost 30 pounds, or my stress is reduced, I'm so much stronger now, and I got over this back pain because the exercises you recommended and Brian trained me, and I no longer have backaches. So a purpose is very important. If you read Jack LaLanne's book, you know, Jack LaLanne, I was 97 years old, I think, maybe 98 by now. He wrote a great book recently. I encourage you to read it. But one of his chapters, don't retire. Don't retire. I thought about it. It lasted about a day. That's about how long it lasted. Don't retire. If you can possibly, of course, if your job's killing you, quit, do it, see if you can find another one. But you know what a good retirement is? 2 weeks. That's about as good. That's right out of Jack LaLanne's book. And I think he's absolutely right. Very important. People who don't retire live longer. I know so many people that have retired 3-4 years later, they're not around. Matter of fact, I talked to a GM employee at Starbucks the other day, and the man died during the retirement party. Yeah, he died during the retirement party. Oh, how sad. How sad. After all those years of work, looking forward to it. And, he excused himself during the party in the back room, and he died of a heart attack. And so keep working. I think this is very good for the mind, good for the body, talking to people. I know a man carries out groceries at Scott's every day after working 30 years at General Motors. You know what? He's very healthy. His mind is very sharp. He's having to memorize all the people walking out of the store every day. I'm sure he smiles at all the pretty girls, at least I would if I was working there. And so this is very good and he's a very healthy individual. So I recommend doing something. Power of positive thinking is the next marker on the mind-body index. And I think that's a very important thing. If you're a negative thinker, you're speaking to your 70 trillion body cells and telling you it's going to be a lousy day. Don't do it. Don't do it. When I have a stressful day, for example, which as a neurosurgeon you can see can be not hard to happen. You know, a lot of good things happen, bad things happen. Oh, you're going to be paralyzed for life, or your grandma's going to die. Do you think that makes me feel good? No, it doesn't make me feel good. But as soon as I hit my car, I'm going across town to play tennis or give a lecture or something, I turn on music. And I'll tell you, it doesn't take a minute. And I'm going down the road. My mind is changing totally. I'm conducting the orchestra. I'm paying attention to the instruments being played. I'm listening to the words. And all of a sudden, positive thinking occurs, and I feel a great deal better. Read the works of Norman Vincent Peale. You can print them off my website. I had the most fortunate thing happen to me. I operated the wife of one of the assistant ministers at Norman Vincent Peale about a couple years ago. And he noticed some of the writings, newspaper articles about my wellness teaching. And one day he comes in, the next day he brings in 3 cartons of books, all the works of Norman Vincent Peale, autographed by him and his wife, Ruth. He says, I'm 88 years old, I'm not going to read them again. I know you would read them. And was he ever right? I read them 3 times. I gave a lecture off them. Read the works of Norman Vincent Peale. You can if you think you can. Visualization. All books written by him. Wonderful books to bring some positivity in your life. If you're thinking negative all the time, you'll make those things come true. Because through the thought process, through hormones, through neurotransmitters, you can speak to your body cells. Yes, you can speak to your body cells. If you start thinking negatively, your whole body will be negatively. Candace Pert, in her famous book, Molecules of Emotion, clearly explains the chemistry behind it. There's chemistry behind this. So become a positive thinker. If you can't, learn to meditate. Meditation kind of brings you into the present moment. Not the storm of the past, tsunami of the future. What's going on right now? You're alive. You're here. So that's one way of becoming a positive thing. And say positive things. I meet strangers in the elevator in the morning. I would say, good morning. How are you doing, sir? Hope you have a nice day. It makes that person feel better. It makes me feel better. So to think of ways that you can develop more of a positive life. Don't just look at your children with negative things. They have good qualities, and you need to find them and bring them out. Try meditation, which we spoke about a little bit. People who meditate regularly live longer. And the ancients in India and China who do this regularly have proven that. There are books on that. There are things about that on my website. And practice Tai Chi and Qigong. These are really, Tai Chi and Qigong is meditation. It's exercise, but it's also stretching. We'll be speaking about stretching. So yoga activity, Tai Chi activity, Qigong are really ways of stretching, ways of meditating, ways of getting stronger. The next marker on the longevity mind body index, frankly, is socialization. I think to be part of a social situation, I think, is very helpful, and you live longer. When you study, I read a book called The Blue Zones, for example, where they talk about Sardinia, and they Loma Linda, California, in Okinawa, all places where people live quite commonly over 100. What are their positive characteristics? One of them is they socialize a lot. They socialize. They have groups, and they have definite set dates and times. They know at 5 o'clock on Thursday night, the whole family and neighborhood are going to sit down to a dinner. They're going to sing songs. They're going to have a little glass of wine. It's this, in German, called a Gemütlichkeit. Something to look forward to, certain time of day, certain part of the week, the socialization. I recommend church. When I go past some of the churches here by Homestead, St. Elizabeth's there, and I'm not even Catholic, and I don't go to that church. But I tell you, it's a huge community of churchgoers. I got to think that's good for them. Well, any other church you might belong to. So social clubs, organizations, like-minded individuals is very good for longevity. Learn another language. It's a good way to sharpen the mind. And for example, I take some Spanish. I used to travel with this tennis group from the American Medical Association, and we go to different countries every year, and we always would try to learn the language before we went to that country. So every year was different, and a lot of us learned to speak a number of the languages. And I think this causes new pathways in your brain, and I think it's a very good thing to do at any age. Play a musical instrument. 5 years ago, I always played the piano a little bit. At age, you wouldn't believe this, at age 16, I played the piano at Carnegie Hall. I was not a natural player. I just practiced like a dog, and I got better. But it was not really within me, so I kind of almost gave it up because I could never be as good as the real good people. So 5 years ago, I started playing the saxophone, the piano again. Before you know it, I could play, the alto, the soprano, and the tenor sax. I couldn't believe it. I'm not naturally talented. It was just good practice, and I went to concert music, and I learned how to do it. And I played the piano same time, and I can play enough to entertain myself. Occasionally, I bring it to a lecture. I think most people wish I hadn't, but again, it really expands your brain. So taking music, listening to music, playing music, taking dance lessons. I took dance lessons 2 years from a Russian dancer, improved my coordination, my balance. And I remember the Russian instructor said, Dr. Cashman, you're the only person I know that can talk and dance at the same time. And we had a ball. She left town, the teacher. That was sadness, but just a very good thing. Ballroom dancing, get your wife or girlfriend out there and do some ballroom dancing. It's very good for the mind, improves your balance. And one of the last ones here, no toxic habits. You don't need cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs. You're going to do cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs. I'd be surprised you live to be 100 and get a sound mind. You might live to be 100, but I tell you, your brain will shrink. Every drink of alcohol destroys some brain cells. Yes, every drink of alcohol destroys some brain cells. Most of us just get away with it. I'm not a teetotaler. I have a drink here and there, but I don't recommend it. Maybe 2 or 3 glasses of wine a week. I don't recommend more than that. It'll shrink your brain. I've looked at enough MRI scans as a neurologist of people who drink a lot. Their brains are shrunken. So I would try to avoid that. And certainly we know the complications of cigarettes and drugs. If you regularly do illegal drugs, you're not going to live to be 100. And have some great hobbies. I see people who have woodworking and different hobbies that they have, and becoming, repairing old cars, for example. I mean, this is really stimulating to the human mind. So to have great hobbies is good. For me, it's music and tennis. I play tennis 3 days a week. Participate in tennis tournaments locally here. I'm 39. I came in the finals of the City 55 this year. I don't mind bragging about it. My trophy is sitting in my desk in the office just to remind people I'm not quite as young or old as you think I am. And so good hobbies, I think, are very important. Another thing I highly recommend, get a comprehensive metabolic panel yearly. In other words, these are a number of tests, which I'll mention here, in your blood. Get it once a year so that you can correct them. You don't have a heart attack at age 55 and you find out your cholesterol's been 400 for 20 years. This may be too late. You want to know it at a young age. If your teenager is overweight, get his cholesterol. Get a serum insulin. Find out now, because otherwise you may have a heart attack at age 35. Before you develop type 2 diabetes, you'll have pre-diabetic syndrome probably for 10 years. That insulin is chewing up your body. It's chewing up your body. When you finally spill some sugar in the urine, you find out that you're diabetic. 10 years, that's been playing on your body. So get your metabolic panel. What is involved in it? Get a complete blood count, lipid profile, the fats. You want to know your HDL, your LDL, your blood sugar, fasting blood sugar or glucose tolerance test. For males, PSA, prostate test, TSH, the thyroid test, homocysteine, that determines inflammation in your body. CRP is the same thing, determines inflammation in your body. What causes inflammation? What I said, fat. That has inflammatory factors in it that cause strokes and heart disease. So you want to know your inflammatory factors. Get your HbA1c. That determines what your average blood sugar was for the last 30 or 60 days. That's a good screening test. Also, check your vitamin D. They found it very important for strong bones to lay down calcium, and also reduces the cancer rates. And a bone density test. Do you have osteoporosis or not? Osteoporotic fractures after age 60 are 10 times more common in women than men because they have osteoporosis at a much higher rate, although men get it too. So you want a bone density test along the line. Get this test once a year. I don't care if the insurance company want to pay for it yourself. Not that expensive, because this will determine your future. If these tests are fairly normal, you're going to live a long time. You're not going to have many diseases and illnesses. This is about prevention. Dr. Wellness is trying to teach you how to stay well. Proper sleep habits are also important, which is another marker, and many of us difficult to achieve with today's very tense world of emails and texting and stresses of job loss. And most people change jobs almost every few years today. Some people are without a job. It's a very stressful world out there. So look at my stress thing on my webpage, but proper sleeping, if you're very stressed, it's tough to sleep. But prepare the room properly. No lights, no music, no TV, maybe very light music for sleep, but no TV and no lights. You got to properly prepare the site, or sleeping can be, for some people, very difficult to achieve. Try to avoid the medications if you can. A hot shower, a hot bath, a hot tub can sometimes make you sleepy. And keep a normal blood pressure. That's quite important. You don't want to find out 10 years later that you've had a high blood pressure for a long time. And that pretty well covers the main longevity mind-body index. And I'll quickly go over a little bit here, and then we're going to go into the stretching part here, Brian. I'm going to go over quickly the main biomarkers that are modifiable, okay? A muscle mass, you can modify those by regular weightlifting. 3 days a week, you should do some weightlifting. Very important. Your strength will increase, of course, if you're working out. We talked about your basal metabolic rate. At what rate are you burning calories? You need to improve that. Your body fat percentage, you need to do that. Remember you said how destructive it is, and if you have a huge fat percentage, you're not going to have much muscles on your body. Your aerobic capacity, your ability to consume oxygen and use it to form energy. Remember, ATP energy is O2 and sugar, so that you want to check your aerobic capacity. But just like if you're going to improve that, you've got to test it a bit. You got to be short of breath. That's testing it, and your body's blood sugar tolerance. We talked about that. You should know your cholesterol HDL ratio, the cholesterol level, which is the good cholesterol. What's the ratio? I think that's important to know. And with that, I think, Brian, we could start and go into the stretching and the things that we need to do.
Okay, today we're going to start with a general warm-up. So what we're going to do is try to get your muscles loosened up, your heart rate up, a little sweat going before we start stretching. So we're going to start with high knee in place. So high knee in place, pick your knees up. You want your elbows bent about 90 degrees, hands relaxed, relax your shoulders, your jaw, shoulders, pick your knees up. You want to do this for about 15 seconds. Pick your knees up, do the best that you can. Okay, then we're going to go into a modified jumping jack. Some of you might want to do a regular jumping jack, but a modified jumping jack, leg out to the side, arms down. Leg out to the side, arms down. So up and down. Do this for about 15 seconds. We're getting the abductors loosened up. We're getting the hips. We're getting the shoulders. And for about 15 seconds. Okay, then you're going to do a body weight squat. Hands out in front, sit your rear end back and down. You're going to go down about 90 degrees. Come on up, belly in. Balance a book on your head. And as you go down, you breathe in and blow out as you come up. Breathe in, blow out, do a few more. And then you're going to do what I call duck under a hurdle. So picture a hurdle. It could be as high as you want it. It could be as low. You stay down and come up. And then go down to the other side. Keep your head down, hips low. Just get your hips ready. Get your quads stretched out. And a couple more. And one more to this side for me. Okay, then we're going to do a couple wall push-ups. So we're going to go to the wall. Whatever wall you have in your house, you can use this. Hands about shoulder width apart. Get on your toes. Body is flat. Go down. Nose touches the wall. Push back up. You're going to do 10 of them. So we're going down at our own pace. And you breathe in as you go down. You blow out as you push up.
Well, let's get more specific now, Brian, and talk about building up muscle mass and stretching. It should be preceded with a warm-up and a stretching session. And why don't you explain to us a little bit, when you train people, how you run your program?
Yeah, simply what you do before you do any strength training, before you do any cardiovascular training, before you do any sports, any activity like that, you need to do a proper warm-up. And this warm-up has two different kind of variables to it. One is a general warm-up. The general warm-up is an activity where you're just moving your large muscle groups, your legs, preferably in a walking format. You can do high knees in place. If you have a little location, you're kind of pressed for space here. So you want to do a large muscle group general overall body warm-up. This could be on a bike, this could be walking, this could be basic jumping jacks or a modified jumping jack, basic squats. So from this general warm-up, your goal is to get your heart rate going, get your muscles loosened up, get a little sweat going so that your connective tissue and your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments are loose enough so that when you do start your workout, when you start your activity, that you're not going to be prone to these injuries. So warm-up is very vital. You never want to perform an exercise or do a sport when you have not warmed up and therefore stretched after this warm-up. So that's pretty much what the warm-up is for. So everybody needs to do a general warm-up first. And if it's just getting out walking and doing some basic stuff like I just mentioned, that's where you need to start with.
Thank you, Brian. And this gets you mentally and physically prepared. This increases your muscle temperature, which is important. A warm-up increases your core temperature of your body. And it increases the blood flow to your muscles, and they work better when there's better blood flow. And it disrupts transient connective tissue bands. When you've been sitting around, haven't been doing much, your connective tissue gets tighter and tighter. And we notice that, of course, as we get a day older. And that's why stretching becomes very critical, especially as you get a day older. And what are the benefits? Discuss the benefits a little bit of the warm-up.
Well, some of the benefits would be faster muscle contraction. So it helps muscles contract faster, which will produce more force, more strength, more power, which is good for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or if you're somebody who's 100 years old. You want to have greater muscle contraction in these muscles. Increase reaction time, increase radial force development. So your reaction time, everybody needs to be able to react quick to any certain type of stimuli. The elderly really, really need to work on their stretching so that your reaction time is better, because as you get older, we lose these reaction times. So it's very vital for them. Obviously, like I said, strength and power is increased by stretching, by flexibility. Decrease viscous resistance in muscles, improve oxygen delivery. These are all things that Doctor was talking about. You want oxygen in the muscles. Oxygen in the muscles helps the muscles work harder, therefore we get rid of the waste products quicker. When you work your muscles through stretching, it helps with cooling your body off better, because if you're not properly stretching with this cool down in a stretching format, your heart then has to work excessively hard to relieve the core temperatures. When it shuns blood to the skin to evaporate sweat, which is how you cool your body, through these stretching purposes, these stretching exercises, now your muscles are now able to help the heart take this the core energy temperature to help relieve it and take it away from the heart. So you really want to work on your stretching for that.
And there's the Bohr effect,
Yeah.
which is increased temperature. Your muscle facilitates oxygen release from hemoglobin and myoglobin, and you're going to be much more efficient and much stronger. And it increases the blood flow to your action muscles. It increases the metabolic activity of your muscles, and you'll be able to exercise and perform in sports a great deal better if you're stressed, and warmed up. And stretching during the warm-up enhances your performance, decreases the risk of injury. Although they have found stretching in studies, like in ballet competitors, big-time athletes, actually the injury rate picks up a little bit. So we're talking about the amateurs ourselves. We're trying to improve our health. Stretching becomes extremely important. But in big-time athletes, they found extensive stretching activity beforehand increases actually the injury rates.
Yeah, and the point that the doctor is making here is that a static stretch, when it's held from 15 to 30 seconds and sometimes 60 seconds, before you actually do your performance, sport, ballet, activity, whatever it is, especially for the athlete, has shown to decrease the force production. So that's a hindrance for an athlete. But most people are not these world-class athletes, world-class dancers. So the key here is not a static stretch for the athlete, but a dynamic stretch. A dynamic stretch is now the second part of the general warm-up. So you do a general warm-up, which maybe it's a basic walk, basic high knee in place. The dynamic stretching will then be activities that specifically relate to the actual workout that you're going to do. If you're a dancer, you might do some high kicks, slow kicks to the side, to the back, some jumps off the stage. But these are not 100% effort. If you're a runner, you're going to be doing walking lunges with twists, so it works the core, it works the hip flexors. But you're not holding that stretch, you're actually moving in a dynamic way that mimics your sport, and that has shown to increase the strength, the power in athletes. And it really works for even the sedentary people, but today's stretching video will be over static stretching that everybody needs to do when you are done with your activity. If you're playing sports, or if you're somebody who just gets up from the couch and that's all you do, these will benefit everybody. So the components of a warm-up here, you typically want to start with 10 minutes of this warm-up, and the 10 minutes of the warm-up will be the general warm-up for about 5 minutes and a 5-minute stretching. If it's the athlete, you do your dynamic stretching. If you're somebody who's sedentary for the most part, you will do this basic static stretching, which we will do today. You need to increase your heart rate, increase the blood flow, deep muscle temperature, like I talked about before, which increases your respiratory rate. So you want to get your breathing up, you want to get your heart rate moving, you want to get your blood flowing, so your muscles and connective tissue are loose. I mentioned specific warm-ups for specific sports. Whatever the sport is, you must be doing these dynamic, specific warm-up drills that mimic your sport. There's no point of you jumping in a swimming pool, swimming laps, if you're trying to warm up to run the 100-meter dash. So specific must mimic that activity that you're going to do. Flexibility. Range of motion. You want to be able to move your joint for the full range of motion, and that's obvious to most, but most people don't really get that. When they're stretching, they're not going to the full range of motion. This will prevent injuries. You never know when something might come up with one of your muscles. If you happen to fall off a curb when you're walking across the street and your knee kind of bends a certain way. If you're really flexible, the quadricep muscles, the hamstrings, the gastrocnemius muscles, which are in your calf, will take over and kind of help stabilize that knee if you've been stretching correctly through that full range of motion. Connective tissue depends on activity level, age, and sex. So as we get older, our connective tissue it becomes tighter, so we need to really stretch those out as we get older because we lose that range of motion. Static flexibility, range of motion of a joint with passive movement. Now this is what we will do today, this static stretch, in which you hold a stretch and you breathe and relax, and you hold your stretch for at least 15 seconds, preferably 30 seconds. Today when we do it, we'll hold them for about 15 seconds, and it's best to do 2 or 3 sets per body part when you do your static stretching. Again, dynamic flexibility, this is when you're actually moving as you stretch. These are not bouncing movements, which we call ballistic stretching, which is bouncing down to touch your toes up and down. You never want to do that. Static stretching is holding the stretch. Dynamic stretching is mimicking your activity and as you go slow through that activity, and you're actually stretching your muscles as you move. Would you want to talk
Yeah,
about the age
and
and
these things change, with age and sex, difference between men and women, young versus old. I mean, obviously, young are a lot more flexible, especially girls. You can't believe what positions they can assume. And as you get a day older, our tendons tend to shorten, and connective tissues are laid down. We become stiff, and that can be avoided, though, if you stretch on a regular basis. I know myself from getting a day younger, age 39. It took a long time for me to get to 39. And I stretch regularly. I think it's extremely important. As we get older, a lot of fibrosis sets in, but a lot of that is reversible. But you have to do it 3 days a week on, say, a good 2 months, and you can get a lot looser. But if you don't keep doing it, you're going to stiffen up again. So I think to stretch regularly almost the rest of your life, 3 times a week, even for 10 minutes, is tremendous benefits. And I can tell you about a benefit. I was in Europe recently attending a concert with Andy Roux, who you see on PBS, the violinist. And I was in a computer store using the computer, checking on my stocks, and I fell down the stairs because in Europe they don't like these things. I somersaulted down the stairs. You know what saved me? My yoga. I went head first, and I ended up in a down dog yoga position on the staircase. I could have died or been quadriplegic. It was unbelievable. So it was the habit, and I was so flexible. There's definitely I'd end up in the hospital, and that's what really saved me. So it's very important to avoid falls and things, to stay flexible and to stay strong is very important. And let's talk about connective tissues a little bit. Tendons, ligaments, fascial sheaths, and skin limit your range of motion. They limit your range of motion. Elasticity will return tendons and fibers back to their resting strength. So plasticity, the tendency to assume a new and greater length, can be done by regular stretching statically and dynamically, workouts on a regular basis, arms and legs, and we're going to show those in a minute. It's very important. If you have tremendous muscle bulk, you can decrease the range of motion, but most of us have very difficult to get muscle bulk. You almost have to take steroids to do it, especially in women. Women worry about developing bulk from weightlifting. Ridiculous. It never happens. And that's been scientifically proven. If you're not taking supplements, you will not be bulked out. I mean, you look good and firm because you won't have any body tissue, And so we talked about the frequency of stretching, great effects at the time, but decreases greatly in 3 minutes to 24 hours. You got to keep on doing it. You got to stretch maybe 4 days a week at least to have some permanent benefits. But if you did it twice a week for a minimum of 5 weeks, you'd have great benefits alone. But if you can do more than that, I think it would be very good. And you Brian, you spoke about the length of a stretch. It should be 15 to 30 seconds to be of value. Isn't that right, Brian?
Absolutely. I mean, minimally, you want 15 seconds, so 30 seconds we recommend. In some cases, you'll go 60 seconds, which that seems like a lot of time, but for some people who have injuries, they need rehabbing, they want to go the full minute. But most people will be doing 15 seconds per stretch, and typically you want to hold or do 2 to 3 sets for that particular muscle group.
Yeah, and before we will start the stretching in a minute, I'd like to talk a little bit about collagen. That's the primary structure component of connective tissue. There's type 1 that attaches the ligaments to the bone. There's type 2 cartilage, which has cross-links in it that gives you strength. So tendons, ligaments, fibers, cartilages are extremely important, and they're tightly packed arrangements of collagen bundles. It's all about collagen. There are very few cells in collagen, so there isn't much blood supply to it. So it's hard to repair it. Once you damage collagen, it's hard to repair because it really has no blood supply. And ligaments have elastic fibers, so if you stretch them out, there's elasticity there. I mean, you can overdo it and bust a tendon, but it doesn't happen very often in stretching. And with that, Brian, why don't we segue into showing us some of these stretching techniques.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Absolutely.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to reach up really high in the air. You're going to take a deep breath through your nose. Exhale, swan dive all the way down, legs are flat. Just relax your shoulders, lower back. Your knees are going to be slightly bent. You don't want to lock them out. You want to hold for about 15 seconds. Breathe normal. Then come up slowly and reach up really high again. Breathe in through the nose and then exhale. Hold the stretch. Try to go down a little bit further each time. So come on up. Now we're going to go into a wide leg stretch. Hands are going to reach up. You're going to shift your hips over and go down to that straight leg side. Some of you can reach all the way down at your feet, some the ankle, some the shin, some the knee. It doesn't matter as long as you're keeping that leg straight and you go down as far as you're able to go with a slight discomfort stretch, not sharp pain. Breathe normal. Do not hold your breath. Then come up to the middle. Then let's go down to the middle. Try to get your hands flat. Some of you won't be able to do it, but as your flexibility gets better, you'll be able to go down flatter. Breathe normal. Then look underneath your legs. And then come up slowly, reach up really high, and we'll go down to the other leg. Remember, don't hold your breath. Make sure you breathe. Every time you notice yourself breathing out, you want to go down a little bit further. And come on up. Now we're going to do a stretch for the hip flexors. You can either do it in place, which is good for balance, or you can hold on to the wall. I'm going to do it in place. So just hold it for a few seconds on this one. So see if you can balance and pull your knee up to your chest. And when you feel like your balance is going down, you can drop it and do the other leg. This stretches your hip flexors. And down, we'll do a couple more. And like I said, you can hold on to a wall, or if you work on your balance, do it in front, looking in front of a mirror. Okay, now we're going to do a quad stretch. This one, some of you might need either a chair. I might grab a chair here. Sorry. And this would be a quad stretch. So if you need to do a stretch this way, you can do it with the chair. You can do it against the wall here. Or you can do it like the two girls here, where they're just balancing. So I'll do it with the chair. You hold your stretch, so you're pulling your heel back up to your glute muscles. Then drop and switch. This is working your quadriceps. And leg down. We're going to do one more of each leg. So do the opposite leg. Make sure your hips are forward, your belly button is in, shoulders are back and down. So you don't want to be hunched over. Try to keep your hips forward. Chest out, breathe normal. Try to get your heel to your glute, your rear end muscles. Breathe normal. Now switch legs. Always want to relax. You never really you don't want to rush anything on the stretches. Okay, now I'm going to put this chair behind me. What we're going to do is neck rolls here. So you're going to put your hands down into the floor, chin to your chest, roll your chin to your shoulder, look all the way up to the ceiling, back down to the shoulder, across the chest to the other shoulder, look all the way up, back down to the shoulder, across the chest. We're going to do this a couple more times, so we'll go at our own pace. Do not rush this. Nice and slow. Just one more to the other side. Okay, then you're going to look straight ahead and go side to side with your head. Hold it, try to twist it around that shoulder, but keep your shoulders down, so fingers into the floor. Hold it for a few seconds. Now look to your other side. My side is my right. And go to the other side. And one more to the other side. Okay, we're going to do an arm. So we're going to grab arm, my right arm, left elbow behind your head. So your hand is down your spine. Just push down your tricep. It stretches tricep and shoulders. And then relax it and put the arm in front. Some of you can bend your elbow this way. Some prefer straight. And then grab the other arm, right behind the head. Still remember to breathe normal. Now, remember, we're trying to hold them for 15 seconds. Obviously, some of ours are not holding for 15 seconds, but you want to hold for at least 15 seconds. Even when you're stretching, you're pulling in your belly button. And let's pull it across our body. Okay, we're going to do some stretches on the floor. So, we can get on this floor, and this is going to be a hurdler stretch. So we're going to put our left leg in and the right leg up, straight ahead, knee pointed up, toe up. We're going to use our opposite hand. We're going to try to go down and grab the toe. Put your head down and relax and breathe normal. And again, you want to hold it for about 15 seconds. Every time you notice you're breathing out, you want to relax. And let's do kind of come up. Now on this one, try to go down a little bit further. So blow all your air out as you're going down, and then relax. We're going to hold it for a few seconds. This will stretch your back. This stretches out your hamstrings and your calf muscles. But you try to reach for your toe. If you can't reach your toe, you can always pull on your pant leg or grab a band to put around your foot and pull on that. Now let's switch legs. Toe pointed up, opposite arm, reach down, and you can try to grab with both. Try to keep your toe straight up and your knee straight up. Leg is straight, flat on the ground, but not locked. You want to have just a slight knee bend. You just don't want to lock out the joint. So blow out as you're down, then come up, and then go back down again. So hold it. And again, once you're breathing out, try to go down a little bit further on this one. Each stretch, you want to go down a little bit further than the last. Okay, then we're going to do a butterfly stretch. So feet together. What I want you to do is push your heels into your body as much as you can. Put your elbows on your knees, hands around your ankles if you can, or your feet. Press down on your knees just slightly. And at the same time, press your knees up against your elbows just a little bit. And keep your chest up high and tall and shoulders back if you can. And look straight ahead. And then relax. And let's do it one more time. And press down a little bit harder. And at the same time, press your knees up against your elbows. This is a good stretch as well. Always relax. Breathe in through the nose. Blow out through the mouth. Okay, then we'll do a glute stretch. One leg straight out, the other leg flat over. Now, my right knee is over, so now I'm going to put my left elbow, and I'm going to turn my body facing the opposite direction. You want your bent foot to be flat on the ground in front of you, and the straight leg pointing straight up. So twist your body. This works, stretches out your glute muscles in your lower back. Still breathe, don't hold your breath. And focus on breathing. You know, breathing is meditation as well. So you breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Now let's switch legs. So remember this opposite hand. Now twist your body around. Still keep your belly in, your belly button into your spine. Just try to relax. And let's do one more on the first leg. We'll do two on each. And we try to turn yourself a little bit more than you did the first time. When you stretch, you can have nice, easy music you want to listen to. Or just think of, nice, calming type stuff in your head and, nice music. Okay, switch the second leg again one more time. A little bit more of a stretch. Okay, then I'm going to have everybody stand up. We're going to do a stretch for the calf muscles. You can either use the wall, you can use the chair that I had before. But now we're going to one leg bent in the back, one leg straight. Reach down for the toe and pull the toe a little bit. So this will stretch your calf. Make sure you have that back leg bent and the toes pointed out. Make sure your knees and toes aren't going over and make sure they're in line. So your weight's on that bent foot, back heel. And you want to feel a stretch in your calf muscles here. And try to get your chest down as low as you can. As you're blowing out, you want to go down further. And let's switch legs. And on your breathing out, try to go down a little bit further. And this will stretch your calf muscles and your hamstrings. And the last one that we're going to do is the child's pose. So we're going to get down on our knees. Your hands are going to be out in front. You're going to drop your rear end back on your heels. And your hands are going to be stretched as far as you can forward, and rest your head down on the carpet, down on the floor. Here you want to make sure you breathe deeply through the nose and out the mouth. And that will complete the stretching routine, and it was maybe 12 or 15 minutes or so. You can do it 5 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on how much time you have left in your day for your stretching, but it's good to do it as many days of the week that you can. So I hope you enjoyed just whatever stretching we did. Obviously, there are more stretches to do, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Brian. I really enjoyed your lessons on stretching, and I have much better understanding of it today and how important that really is. You know, many of us I don't pay a lot of attention to that, and I can't re-emphasize the importance of doing that throughout your life. You want to stay flexible, you want to stay strong. I think that's very important to do. And I'd like to thank Sasha and Joy for coming in and being our victims, that we could do these stretching activities with, and I look forward to our next DVD, which will be out developing some muscle mass, so from the warm-up to the stretching, next to the muscle mass, which will lead to longevity and a long life and good health. And again, I'm Dr. Rudy Cashman, neurosurgeon for 41 years, that is 39. I have a wellness center at Lutheran Hospital. I hope you visit it. Our phone number is 260-436-2040. We have all the programs to make you completely healthy, from diet to yoga activities to personal training by Brian. And if you follow our programs, the odds of you hitting 100 and being a sound mind got to be in the 90% range, and I fully stand behind that scientifically. Again, thanks so much for watching our show, and I will look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.